Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium Esports coverage of the sixth round of Series 5 for Porsche Club of America Sim Racing. Live tonight from Watkins Glen International in Watkins Glen, New York, the virtual version, of course. James Pike, the voice of Podium Esports, alongside Taylor Burris and our producer, Ryan Bauer, powered by Top Flight Computers this evening. And TV, this is another place that we know very, very well. Same sort of story as Circuit of the Americas had last week. This is a series that PCA has visited in nearly every single series of PCA sim racing to date. So I would like to think that drivers have some familiarity with this track, just maybe not in these Cayman GT4s.
Well, this track is going to be a lot of fun, especially for those that consider this track home, especially those in the metropolitan New York area and many others who are up in the upstate New York and in the Northeast. This track will be high speeds, fast paced, a lot of different opportunities for passing. And like you said, this track, everybody knows it. We've ran this track every single series, and I'm pretty sure everyone is looking forward to another great night of action here at the Watkins Glen International.
I believe you're right about that. And plenty of chapters that we are going to highlight this evening for whom this is a home race. You mentioned the metropolitan New York region. Also a few others in upstate New York. And we turn to a veteran of PCA sim racing out of one of the regions in New York State, the Hudson-Champlain region, where James Youth calls home. James is going to bring us around Watkins Glen International, so sit back for the next few moments and watch as James takes you around this famous racetrack and shows you how to get the most out of your Cayman here at Watkins Glen.
All right, here we have a hot lap of Watkins Glen. This little straightaway gives you a couple seconds to check your mirror, check your gauges. We're going to brake it to 300. Heavy brake it to 300, all the way down into third gear, hit the first part of that apex. This should be flat out all the way to the bus stop. Turn in at the access road. Keep your steering very light. You can get close to the wall, don't let the car get unsettled. Hold fifth as long as you can, back up into sixth. We're looking for the 400 mark. We will trail brake into fifth across the first part. Click down to fourth and accelerate back out. Stay tight. Get inside if you need. Brake helps. Let the car track all the way out into full throttle. Change in pavement will be our braking mark. All the way down into third so we can pick up some speed on the output. Coming back across. We're looking for the 200 marker here. Keep the car tight, inside, down into third gear. Get right next to that apex cover. Use all the track on the out. Stay to your left. We're going to look for the 200 marker again. There's the 200, heavy brake. Back down into third. Hit that apex, let the car track all the way out. Use that extra track. This is uphill. You can brake hard, then threshold all the way down into third. Wait till the car gets the wheels underneath you and get back on the throttle. This corner, either a lift or a little bit of brake just to help turn in. As soon as it's back to grounded, get back on the throttle. A little bit of brake, turn in at the kink. Bring it back around, use all the track, and that is the lap of Watkins Glen.
Many thanks to the Hudson-Champlain region's James Youth for his walkthrough of a lap around Watkins Glen International. And unlike some of the other places we've been to, Taylor Burris, we've definitely seen our fair share of maybe more turn-centric flowy courses, and we'll be at one next week for certain. Suzuka is where we head next week, and that's just about textbook there. But this is more of a straight-line speed circuit, a draft circuit, a power circuit more than anything else.
It certainly is. It's a lot more of high speeds and then making a stop completely to make sure you get through these 90-degree corners, which a lot of these drivers will have to face throughout the duration of their races here tonight. I mean, going into turn one into the 90, you have to make sure you hit your marks in the braking zone. We'll see a lot of accidents possibly happen throughout the entire night in that one corner. And then, of course, you have the bus stop on the back straightaway will provide a lot of action, a lot of great passing, but also a lot of chaos.
A lot of chaos as we take you through tonight's starting grid for our first race of the evening. As per usual, the Challenge Clash presented by Haggerty. Haggerty, let's drive together. Ian Simon, your pole sitter, your points leader out of the Mardi Gras region. He's at a 156.259 to take the top spot on the grid over Ken Tubman, who won the second round of the season at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. John Crook begins tonight from the third spot, and Matt D'Aloso will try and shake the bad luck tonight and get his first victory of the season. He'll start fourth. Fifth will be the 775 of Chris Siborowski. Justin Moreno, one of the Team Haggerty drivers, starts sixth. Seventh is the 929 of Ed Eisenring out of the Pacific Northwest region. J.R. Gregory begins tonight from eighth. Ninth is where the 20 of Trip Starkey will begin his race. 10th on the grid belongs to the 25 of Chris Pippen.
Aaron Ambrosino will be starting in the 11th position, followed by Scott Ferris in 12th. Robert Rose in the 443 will be starting from the 13th position, followed by Scott Rogers in 14th. Jose Rivas will be starting in the 15th position, followed by Jason Sherwood in 16th. Ken Nielsen will be starting in 17th, Scott McSherry 18th. 19th goes to Andrew Hillman, and David Purdy will round out your top 20.
21st will be Kim Frick. Abraham Jones starts 22nd. 23rd on the grid will be Robert Benson, and Anchor Birdsong starts in 24th. 25th belongs to Adam Fox. Alan Murphy starts 26th. 27th belongs to Mark Granoff, and John Bradley starts tonight from 28th. 29th is where Jim Hemming begins. 30th. 55 on Andrew McEwen. Ryan Gianelli, Dan Fishkin, and David Trinder are your final three cars to start this 33-car race in the Challenge Clash presented by Haggerty. Let's drive together. Take a look at the track facts as per usual before we get going here at Watkins Glen International in Watkins Glen, New York. We run the full course with the inner loop and the boot today, which gives us a lap length of 3.40 miles or 5.43 kilometers. 11 turns here at Watkins Glen in this full layout, and we race at sunrise once again. In-sim local time is just after 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on the default day for iRacing, May 15th, 2020. Temps should be the same all night. 65 degrees Fahrenheit air temp, 66 degrees Fahrenheit track temp. Winds out of the south at 10 miles an hour, humidity of 70%. Those should stay stable throughout all four of the races that you are going to see this evening. And before we get going, we'll remind you that setups for tonight's race are brought to us by our friends at the Virtual Racing School. For those who don't have the time to put together their own setup, this being an open setup series where you can run whatever setup you like, so long as it fits within iRacing regulations, VRS provides setups to PCA Sim Racing. And if you want to learn more about VRS and learn how to become a faster driver in the sim, head on over to www.virtualracingschool.com. Plenty of action to talk about. The points battle to talk about too, Taylor Burris. We haven't had the chance to chat about that yet, but Ian Simon, Chris Siborowski, Daniel Rubel, your top three in points heading into tonight. But Simon, well clear of everyone. He's up by over 100 on Siborowski, so this could be the night. If he ends up finishing where he starts, it's just about one hand on the trophy for Ian Simon.
Pretty much. I mean, he has to have a smooth finish here tonight. He still has to make sure he finishes tonight's race in the lead here as we end tonight after 16 laps or 30 minutes here. So, but this track can provide even the toughest situations, even for the most experienced drivers. I mean, even though Ian Simon is in the rookie class or the challenge class, this is very interesting to see how he's going to be able to negotiate, especially when lap traffic could come into play later on in the run.
We'll also remind you that, as per always, tonight's broadcast of the Challenge Clash of PCA Sim Racing in Series 5 is brought to you by Haggerty. Since 1984, Haggerty has been the worldwide leader in collector car insurance. Everything they do is geared toward enabling and enhancing the experience of automotive enthusiasts and making sure that the vehicles we all love and the lifestyles that revolve around them don't just survive but thrive well into the future. Services include the Haggerty Drivers Club, Drive Share by Haggerty, the shop, and much, much more to fuel car culture. Haggerty, let's drive together. Ian Simon now climbing his way out of the boot, which takes a completely different look coming through the morning time here at Watkins Glen. Very intriguing to see how the shadows cast across this place at one of the most popular tracks in all of iRacing. This is one of the top 10 most successful tracks all time in terms of units sold. So very few members out there don't at Watkins Glen. This is a place that everybody knows, that a lot of people love, and that will be the host for all the action for PCA Sim Racing tonight as round 6 of Series 5 will get underway with the Challenge Clash presented by Haggerty. So glad you're with us here, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch. Thanks to all of you for tuning in to Putty Esports coverage of PCA Sim Racing Series 5, Round 6, as there's contact between Dialosa and Ken Tubman before we even get to turn 1. He tried to go on the grass on the outside by the wall to get around the outside of the 27 machine, to the 27 through the block on Matt Dialosa, as everybody comes through 1 and 2 and up the hill to the S's the first time. It's a quick funnel up to the top of the hill, Taylor.
It was very exciting right there. That might be looked at, though, by our race officials because he was very much pushing it on the start of that race. And I know they're supposed to take it easy, at least get through the first corner. So we could see Matt Dialosa getting a penalty or Ken Tubman in that 27 for throwing that aggressive block as they go through the bus stop for the first time here tonight.
I think race control, we'll see what they say, but I wouldn't be surprised if they let that slide because Dialosa gave Tubman the spot back. Tubman still rides in third after John Crook was able to get to his inside and take over the spot, and Dialosa's back in fourth, so nothing gained or lost between the two of them, just a matter of having to race around the 61, who got a great start down to the inside and passed both of them. We almost missed that entirely, but John Crook with that nice run into turn 1, now coming through the toe of the boot here at Watkins Glen, but up to second already.
A great run indeed for the 61 of John Crook as he is trying to run down Ian Simon, who's about 1.2 seconds up the road from John. So he's going to have a little bit of work to do as they come down to the heel of the boot and make their way out to what now is the NASCAR circuit.
Out the heel, back to NASCAR, and back to the second straightaway here at Watkins Glen that covers the boot. NASCAR skips it when they come here, but we run it with road course racing, and all the sports cars that come to Watkins Glen traditionally will run the boot. So Ian Simon now up and at him and already out in front of John Crook by 1.3 seconds. Then that great battle between Tubman and Dialosa that just will not go away. And Dialosa looked to the inside of Tubman, but we may need to hold on that for a few laps here or so, Taylor Burris, because Dialosa is wasting no time giving Tubman a whole bunch of trouble trying to make sure that he maintains P3.
He tried to take a look to the inside as they head into the 90, turn 1, but couldn't quite get into the inside just yet. They climb up the S's as they're gaining a little bit of ground to the 61 of John Crook as they come out of the S's down the back straightaway heading towards the bus stop. These three cars are lined up nose to tail, so this could be interesting once they hit the bus stop.
Also note, Ken Nielsen and Chris Siborowski have been black flagged for orange zone violations in the opening lap of this race. So Siborowski will have to pit from 7th, and I believe Nielsen a little bit further back in this field, but still certainly not what you want to have to be dealing with early on in this race. Is Nielsen back in 29th after starting in 17th. So a rough start for Ken Nielsen in our first race of the night, this Challenge Clash race, round 6 of Series 5 of PCA Sim Racing, presented by Haggerty.
Still a tight battle for third between Tubman and Matt Dialosa, and then throw in Justin Marino, the Haggerty driver, in that number 8 Porsche as they come out of the heel and heading up to the toe of the boot. It's going to be a tight battle indeed as they make their way into the braking zone.
I was about to say that Simon and Crook have distanced themselves from this group, but while Tubman and Dialosa have been slugging it out for the third spot, Justin Moreno has come into the battle as one of the Team Haggerty drivers, and Dialosa will go to the outside of the exit of the boot, maybe try and pull the crossover and get to the inside coming into turn 10, the final chute that leads you back to the front stretch at Watkins Glen, but nothing doing yet. So Dialosa, Moreno, and Ken Tubman all within about a second of one another. Then you slide back to Chris Pippin, and Siborowski will come down pit road, and then a really good group. You start with Ed Eisenring, and you go all the way back to Jose Rivas in 13th. Everybody in this stretch, and even Scott Rogers to some degree, all within no more than a second of the driver ahead of him.
Great battles all around the racetrack here at Watkins Glen International as we see this group heading into the 90 once again, completing lap number 2 as they come out of there. A couple of them go a little bit wide. That is not out of bounds. You can go out there if you're needing to go out there, but it's going to be a little bit difficult to get back on track, especially if you have a car to your inside as they climb up through the S's. You want to be careful through there. Don't want to hit the curbing too much. It's very easy to get the car light and lose control of your race car through the S's. And if you have an accident in the S's, chances are that area is going to be blocked and more chaos could ensue. So just be mindful of that when hitting your marks through that section of the course.
The S's are the most narrow part of a lap at Watkins Glen International. And if you have trouble there, especially at the beginning of a race, more often than not, it's 5 cars, it's 6 cars, it's 7 cars that get involved and everybody just piles in. There's absolutely nothing that you can do. And it's some of the bigger races that you see in iRacing, especially with the IMSA iRacing Sports Car Championship. There are pileups of about 15, 20 cars that will happen within the opening lap in that corner. So something that you'll definitely want to avoid. But we've cleared the first lap. It shouldn't be too much of an issue for these drivers as Simon continues to lead. D'Alosa continues to chase Tubman, but between Tubman, D'Alosa, and Moreno, nothing doing, nothing going. And as you slide a little bit further back, there's separation once you get back to Kim Frick in 15th. But a good little group here between Adam Fox, David Purdy, and then Ankerberg Song, Abraham Jones, and Brian Giddinelli. That trio on top of each other coming through the heel of the boot.
Yeah, great 5-car battle for this position right here as they come out of the heel of the boot, heading up the hill before they get back onto what is the NASCAR circuit as they will go through that transitioning quarter. Still keeping it single file, but we see a couple of drivers taking peeks, seeing if they can get around their competition as they head into the last few corners. Adam Fox doing a great job of holding off Ankerberg Sonic. It goes a little wide, but is able to recover and hold his position as they come out of the final corner.
Wondering if we may have seen trouble from Matt D'Alosa, and indeed we did. D'Alosa's done for the night, so we'll bring it back just a little bit and see what happened to D'Alosa and what caused him to retire the car, but looks like he may or may not have looped himself around coming out of the final corner on the racetrack and just got on the gas too early and put it right into the fence. Heavy front end damage to the number 90 machine, and he just parked it along the fence, pulled it up, was done for the evening. So another disappointing run for Matt D'Alosa, who's had so much pace but just has not been able to put a race together start to finish yet.
Yeah, that has been one of his difficult moments all season long. Has a potential and great speed, but just cannot seem to put together a race here this season whatsoever. So you'll have to go to Suzuka and wonder if he's able to do anything. I mean, looking at him in the points right now, Matt D'Alosa, after missing last week at Circuit of the Americas, he's not even in, looks like to be the top 10. If that, maybe not even in the top 20.
Well, you know, D'Alosa's case...
sitting in 8th. Sorry about that. He's actually sitting 8th in points.
It reminds me of another driver back in the day, although I don't necessarily know if it was as much feast or famine as it was with this driver. But you go back to some of the early series, and Michael Polasek in particular, when he was running the Cup car, those first few series before he eventually won his championship in Series 4, we'd always talk about how he'd be second or third on the boards and have the pace to win, but it just never quite came together. And then Polasek turned it back maybe about 10-15%. He won the Pro Class in Series 4, so it's not impossible to come back maybe in future seasons and potentially do something. But D'Alosa has pace. I think that's the biggest thing we need to know. Plenty of pace, plenty of speed. It's just a matter of keeping that speed consistent for all 30 or I would presume 40 minutes as we work our way towards Series 6. I doubt we will see him in the challenge class again with all the speed that he has. Same can be said for Ian Simon, who's up on John Crook by 1.7 seconds. The gap now to Ken Tubman and Justin Moreno between Crook and company. Crook to Tubman now 3 seconds, and Tubman to Moreno a half second, and 2 seconds back of that group to Chris Pippen.
Trouble for John Crook. He loses it in the bus stop, makes contact with the barrier as he will go around dropping out and losing tons of positions as he's currently stuck on the racetrack trying to wait to get into an opening to get on the track safely. And he will drop all the way back to 9th, now 10th position, now 11th. So he's going to be outside the top 10 once they come out to the boot.
He was just on the gas too quickly coming through the inner loop, the bus stop here at Watkins Glen, and sent himself off into the fence. And so the driver that was scored in second, now running in the 11th spot, Ken Tubman and Justin Moreno now are at a very strong fight for the P2 spot. And then you look at where Crook is following in. He's right behind this group with Aaron Ambrosino, Robert Rose, Jose Rivas, Scott Rogers, and Jason Sherwood all in the mix here. And the best mid-pack battle by a considerable margin.
As we actually see a pass for the position between John Crook and Jose Rivas. Rivas, though, just pinches him down just a little bit, allowing him to hold on to 10th position once again through that corner as they come out of the boot into the transition onto the straightaway here in the NASCAR section of the course. And Jose Rivas will hold on and maintain that position, but John Crook trying to see if he can get back into the top 10.
So John Crook fighting to make his way back towards the top 10. Meanwhile, Simon, now your leader by 5.9, almost 6 seconds on Ken Tubman, as two of the top four have fallen out of their spots in DeLosa and Crook, and that cleans up the run up near the front. It's also brought Ed Eisenring into the top 5, the Pacific Northwest region driver with the Martini-inspired livery. We haven't had the chance to talk about that all year, and I think this is as good a time as ever to bring that up. The famous Martini colors that were seen throughout Europe in so many different series. Anytime you see that form of white with a little bit of that sort of neon day glow red paired with the navy and the light blue, you know exactly who you're dealing with. And
ooh, more trouble. Justin Moreno, or no, who is that who went into the wall? I think it was Ken Tubman. Hard into the wall.
So Tubman ends up at the fence, but I want to finish the point on Eisenring that not every time that you get to see somebody pull that sort of scheme out, but as famous as it gets is that machine.
Of course, we've seen a couple of Porsches over the years running those Martini colors throughout all different styles of motorsports throughout, especially in the 70s and 80s.
Agreed upon that one as Tubman falls back to 6. So now it's Team Haggerty's Justin Moreno running in at P8 and not having the worst of runs himself. So solid work from Moreno, who came into the night 4th in points. He's out of the Western Michigan region of the PCA. And if you needed a few cities to link yourself up with that, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Traverse City, pretty much everything that doesn't involve Lansing, Battle Creek, the Detroit area, the western half of Michigan, especially the mid, not the Panhandle and not the UP. Definitely where you need to look to find Justin Moreno. And if you might be a Michigander, maybe this is your driver to cheer for over the next few weeks. He's putting in a really solid shift so far. And Tubman has fallen back towards the clutches of Trip Starkey and J.R. Gregory. And Aaron Ambrosino and Robert Rose having a good fight as well.
A great battle indeed with these few drivers. Ambrosino's trying to hold off Robert Rose as they head into the 90 right now. Rose is a little bit far back, but dives deep into the braking zone to see if he can gain a couple of car lengths on Aaron Ambrosino for 8th place. Couldn't quite get the deal done, but they will now make the climb up through the S's, hitting the first apex and switching over to the second before finally getting on that straightaway here, utilizing the slipstream to help pull him up to the back bumper of the 13 Porsche. In that black and white camo color style as they go down the straightaway. They'll go side by side as they enter the bus stop. Will Rose try to push the effort to make the position, or Ambrosino shut the door? He will shut the door on Robert Rose through the bus stop chicane as there's a car around. I couldn't quite catch it. Could have been, couldn't tell which driver that was actually.
Stan Fishkin, who scored 29th. He's now 31st at the moment, but already looking a lap down. So not much shakeup towards the top of the pylon. A little bit further back, though. How about we go to 22nd? Olin Murphy and Scott Ferris having a really solid battle of their own and having a lot of fun with this as well.
Yeah, a great battle here for the 21st position. You got to throw in also the one. Nope, actually, Mark Cranoff is actually a little bit further ahead. That's a lap car in front of them right now. But Scott Ferris, Owen Murphy are in a great battle as the lap car will easily let them by as they enter into the boot. But Scott Ferris in that 027 Porsche had a great run last week at Circuit of the Americas, trying to see if he can get a little higher up into the standings here before tonight's race is over.
Scott Ferris out of the Oregon region of the PCA, which covers the greater Portland area. So strong Northwest representation in this particular race tonight between Ferris and Ed Eisenring out of the Pacific Northwest region. Though, if I know anything, if we were to look at Major League Soccer rivalries, don't tell Seattle and Portland to be bunched together in the same group. I'm not sure how either city would take that all that well. But as we are about halfway through the race, we are going to remind you of a few bits and pieces that you need to pay attention to. First off, the Z1 dashboard is a proud presenting partner of tonight's broadcast. And second, it is time for our midway race break, which is brought to you by Hagerty. Since 1984, Hagerty has been the worldwide leader in collector car insurance. Everything they do is geared toward enabling and enhancing the experience of automotive enthusiasts, and making sure that the vehicles we all love and the lifestyles that revolve around them don't just survive, but thrive well into the future. Services include the Hagerty Drivers Club, Drive Share by Hagerty, The Shop, and much, much more to fuel car culture. Hagerty, let's drive together. Surprise, surprise, Ian Simon, your race leader out of the Mardi Gras region, to no one's great shock. Out in front in points that are having a stellar run as per usual. Justin Moreno for the Western Michigan region also having a great run. He currently is scored in the second position. Third on the board, Kansas City Chief Red car for Chris Pippin out of the Kansas City region of the PCA. He currently sits in the third spot. Fourth, we've talked about him already, out of Washington State. Ed Eisenring doing a nice job of sorting himself out from Seattle proper in this race. P5 belongs to Ken Tubman, Lone Star region, having a solid run out of Houston, Texas. Good top five for him and a nice rebound just ahead of J.R. Gregory, another one of the Oregon region drivers from Portland.
I bet he has an origin, though.
He does have an origin story somewhere. We just don't know it yet. So we'll find that out later after we tell you who runs in seventh. And that honor belongs to Trip Starkey out of the Rocky Mountain region of the PCA. Starkey, one of the drivers who covers that stretch from Denver to Aurora, Fort Collins. You go north and get Cheyenne, get a little bit of western Nebraska. Certainly one of the wild-shaped regions in all of PCA competition. Aaron Ambrosino with the home race out of the Hudson-Champlain region. He's a New Yorker, and I won't totally call it an MC Escher car, but not a bad one at that. John Crook out of the Potomac region. Washington, D.C. is where he calls home, so kind of a home race for him. He's P9, and the 10th belongs to the 443 of Robert Rose from the Shenandoah region, which covers the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia and stretches east to Charlottesville.
Next up in 11th is Jose Rivas from the Rhinestota region. He's currently sitting at 11th, 17th in the point. A little bit further back, about 7 seconds back actually, you're going to find the 99 of Jason Sherwood sitting in 12th. In the 13th position, you're going to find Brian Ginninelli in 32nd. He started all the way towards the back half of the field. He's now having a nice run inside the top 15. From the Niagara region, sitting in 14th is the 66 of Kim Frick. Having a good run right there, sitting about 3 seconds back from Brian. But as we go 1.2 seconds back in 15th position, you'll find the 996 of Abraham Jones. Abraham Jones is from the Allegheny region, having a strong run here tonight. In 16th, you'll find the 71 of Robert Benson from the Rensport region, who's having a good run as he's trying to hold off a hard-charging Chris Siborowski from San Diego region, currently sitting second in the points. Needs to try to put together a little bit of a better run to try to close to the gap between him and Ian Simon. Sitting 18th, you'll find the 103 of David Trinder, as he's actually starting to fall back and just got passed by the 737 of Scott Rogers. Those two have been battling strong all night long, and rounding out your top 20 is the 577 of Adam Fox.
Scott Ferris holds 21st now as things have shuffled just a bit. Another one of our Oregon region drivers in this race. 22nd on the board is the 999 of Olin Murphy out of the Palmetto region of the PCA. And I believe a relation to Sean Murphy as well. Jim Hemmick out of the Chesapeake region, the National Marketing Director for the Porsche Club of America. He runs 23rd at this time, 24th. And the 10 machine out of the Ohio Valley region is John Bradley. That stretches right along southern Ohio, northern Kentucky, and that southwestern tip of West Virginia, Huntington, all the area that covers the Ohio Valley. Ken Nielsen, Pacific Northwest region, is 25th at this time. 26th, another Texan, Mark Granoff out of the Lone Star region. That's where you'll find him. 27th in this field belongs to Edgar Bergson. This is a de facto home race for him as well. He runs the Northeast region's race tonight in the challenge class. Andrew McCune, another Rocky Mountain driver, sits 28th at this time. In the 29th position, out of the Eastern Buckeye region, Youngstown, Ohio, Scott McSherry. And then 30th, the 10 machine of David Purdy and Pete Stater out of the greater Atlanta area in Zone 3. Final two cars here are Andrew Hilleman out of the Shinsland region and 32nd. Dan Fishkin, a Metropolitan New York region driver who's had his fair share of struggles tonight, but still soldiering on in P32. One car out of the race, it's Matt Dialosa in the 90s. Slide on board with John Crook. We thank you for riding along board with us in tonight's midway race break for the challenge class of PCA, which is brought to you by Haggerty. Haggerty, let's drive together. We'll also remind you that tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing is brought to you by the Z1 Dashboard. The Z1 Dashboard is the racing analytics application. It shows everything you'll need to know about your position on track, your competitors' positions, and where you'll be after pit stops. The Z1 Dashboard can also tell you where your competition is, when you should pit, how much fuel you should take, and what the weather in the sim is like. You can assign up to 10 different dashboards to each car and switch between them with a click of a button. The required information is always at your fingertip. And the latest version of the Z1 Dashboard was just released this week. It includes even more dashboards and the ability to use your iPhone, iPad, Android phone, or tablet, or any other device with a web browser as a display. To find out more about the Z1 Dashboard, visit them at www.z1dashboard.com. As always, Z1 Dashboard is offering a free sim racing software package to one PCA Sim Racing EDE student each Friday. And tonight's lucky winner out of the Palmetto region is Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy gets it done and is your winner of the free software package that will help you get tuned in, tuned up, and in quick shape. The PCA Sim Racing EDE program provides free sim racing coaching. Novices turning their first lap in the sim to the most seasoned professionals. Sign up for the EDE program at PCARacing.com/EDE, and you may be the next winner of the Z1 Dashboard software package. So, big congratulations to Sean Murphy, who is our winner of the package this evening out of the club class of the PCA. And now, Taylor, we finally get to return our eyes back to the racetrack where Chris Pippin has run down Ed Eisenring and passed him. So Pippin up to third, looking for other good battles on the racetrack. And Ola Murphy and James Simming, Jim Emick as we know, having a good one. Same for Kim Frick and Abraham Jones, too. Same for Robert Rose and Brian Giddinelli. And I think you can make the same argument for J.R. Gregory and Trip Starkey. So about 4 or 5 different tandems fighting for position in the final 8 minutes of this first race of 4 this evening.
Yeah, the one I'm watching right now is the one for the 10th position between Robert Rose and Brian Giddinelli. Of course, we know Brian started way back in 31st position, and he's now worked his way to the 10th position as he will easily make the pass around Robert Rose. Rose giving him the position as they go into the 90 once again. Not a lot of time left on the clock, about 7 minutes left. So a lot can still happen. He's trying to now run down the 028 of Jose Rivas.
Very intriguing there with a lot of damage on the front end. Robert Rose just lets Brian Giddinelli go out of the Golden Gate region of the PCA. Not really much of a fight that he wanted to put up there, nor I think was there a need. Giddinelli's got pace and he's already ahead of Robert Rose by 0.7 of a second. So I think Giddinelli with the pace to escape this one, which then means we can slide back to Kim Frick, Abraham Jones, and Chris Siborowski, who's trying to recover from a penalty early on in this race.
Yeah, a lot still on the line. As actually another driver just received a penalty. Actually, Robert Rose was black flagged for an incident, along with Anchor Birdsong.
So Robert Rose, that would explain where the damage on the right front of his car came from. So he'll come down pit road to serve a penalty, as will Anchor Birdsong, who self-spun and got himself in trouble. So those 2 drivers you're going to see down pit lane next time by as you ride on board with Trip Starkey. Just looking out at J.R. Gregory and Ken Tubman. This is a trio that has developed for 5th, 6th, and 7th. And towards the front of the field, your best battle pack.
Yeah, these four, as they all go 3 wide or almost around one of the lap cars right in front of him as they easily make it through, as they go through the transition, as they head down this little back straightaway before they get to the final 2 corners here at Watkins Glen International. But Ken Tubman trying to do a great job, even with that damage to his race car. A nice effort for him to hold off the 218 of J.R. Gregory. And the car is off right in front of them as they make a close call. That had to be the 172 of Mark Granoff.
So Granoff spins. I presume it probably was the same kind of incident that Matt D'Alonso ran into earlier on in this race, where he just gave it too much gas on corner exit at turn 11. But Tubman's still leading this group, and then Pippin and Eisenring not necessarily done with their battle yet. Same for Kim Frick, Abraham Jones, and Chris Siborowski. Big run here for Abraham Jones, who will get to the inside of Kim Frick, and I think take over the position going into turn 1. Contact between the two of them, though, and Abraham Jones made the hips of his cabin wide just to make sure he was in good shape, and then he overshoots the corner and leaves the door open for Frick to take the spot right back on the inside. So Jones had that set up beautifully, and then he miscalculated his entry into turn 1 and gave all the track position right back to the 66.
Tough break for Abraham Jones, who is needing to try to have a good run. Now he's getting run down by the 775 of Chris Siborowski as they go down the back straightaway before they get to the inner loop, the bus stop once again. They'll almost take it. 3 wide contact between him and Siborowski. Both of them in the gravel trap. Hard contact to the inside tire barrier. But as Abraham Jones tries to continue, both Siborowski, not what he needed to have happen to him tonight, especially with him running second in the points.
That would explain why Siborowski is most likely going to be in line for a penalty before the end of this. I have a hard time seeing race control letting him get off easy with the way he sort of sent it in there. Just got on the brakes a little bit too hot, and they almost did, shall we call it synchronized spinning of sorts. They went off the racetrack in almost an identical manner and hit the wall in almost an identical manner. So Jones back to 16th and Siborowski sitting in 17th at the moment, though we would expect that to change in the final 4 minutes of tonight's race. Doesn't really dump them into a heated battle, but it does sort of take away the intensity of the battle that we have been watching right at the rear end of the top 10 up to this point.
Looking at the lap times and timing and scoring, I know it's not a lot with only a few minutes left to go, about 3.5 minutes. Justin Moreno has been making some very good times on our leader of Ian Simon. He actually ran about a second faster than our race leader. Now, it could be because the race leader could be just taking his time trying to bring it home in one piece, but Justin Moreno is definitely putting the pressure on just a little bit. It's now down to 3.8 seconds. Now been up to about 3.9, but still very good consistent times for Justin Moreno and Ed Eisenring, who is also faster than our leader.
I think the question is whether or not we're going to get more than 2 laps out of this. They'd have to hit this perfectly, but I suspect we're either going to be down to 2 or 1. 3:06 left on the clock, and Simon needs to get to the line with about 2 minutes left to go. So I think, yes, 2 laps are going to be the number for the 87, as we can confirm that race control has black flagged Siborowski for the incident with Abraham Jones. So Siborowski will come down pit road and serve his second penalty of the race. And you're right, Taylor, for a man who was trying to chase down Ian Simon and really give him some sort of fight for the Challenge Class Championship. I have a feeling that has gone out the window, and as Simon may well be putting in the effort that all but clinches him the title here tonight. It's not necessarily a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination, but Simon in very, very good shape, as we will indeed have 2 laps to go, as Simon will cross the line with 2 minutes and call it 12 seconds. So he's going to hit the strike with 12 seconds left, just about, maybe a little bit more, but 2 laps to go here at Watkins Glen in the challenge class. Our first race of the evening, presented by Haggard.
A great fight all night long for several of our drivers, but of course, controversy for a lot of our drivers who are in the points trying to battle Ian Simon for a championship, but could not capitalize and prevail, and it's going to be a hard fight. Basically, like you said, Ian Simon just has to pretty much finish next week at Suzuka and could probably clinch the championship.
Would need a sizable buffer, would need to have, I believe, north of a 320-point gap on second place in points, which was, as you noted earlier, Soborowski coming into tonight. Third on that list would be Daniel Rubel, who has taken the night off, I believe, and then Justin Moreno. So he won't gain much on Moreno. The problem with Moreno is that Moreno is still 100 points back and change, but a solid ride for Moreno to charge the way he has. But how about J.R. Gregory and Trip Starkey, 5th and 6th here? I haven't spoken too much of either of these two drivers, but they are very tight, still fighting for something towards the end of this first race of the evening.
Fighting for a 5th place. It's a great opportunity for these drivers as well, and they're not too far up the road either from the 27 to Ken Tubman right now. So we could have a 3-car battle for 4th position as they are coming towards the back half of the boot and rejoining the NASCAR circuit here momentarily. But these 3 are going to be interesting to watch here on this final lap.
As Ian Simon will come around and will get the white flag this time by through turn 10, around past the grandstands and past the water tank and past the entrance of pit road. This is a very quick section that you flip your car left and right back through. Very, very tricky to nail down. The white flag here for Ian Simon. One more lap for him to get victory number 4 of the season. He's only finished outside of the top 2 once, and that was in the second race of the season at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
What a performance Ian Simon has done all season long. Pretty much one of the most dominant drivers in the challenge class since the start of the season only a few weeks ago, and just doing what he needs to do, running consistently and taking home checkered flag after checkered flag. He's got about a 2.8 second lead over Justin Moreno, who's been doing a great job with a lot of great improvement and consistent runs all throughout the season, as he will probably take home his best finish of the season here tonight.
Believe you are right about that. Moreno in line for a very, very solid P2, which would be a season's best. So no surprise to see Moreno starting to turn it on late. He's notched more than 300 points in his last 2 starts, and he's about to make it 3 races in a row where he's picked off 300 points or more. Even though Ed Eisenring has come on late to give him a challenge, it's going to take something special from Eisenring to get it done on the back half of the circuit.
He's going to see what he can do as they exit the boot here. He might have a shot through the heel, but he's not close enough. He might try to dive it in a little bit later, but can't quite make it work. Lots of cheap track, though, but our race leader is coming to the line here in a few moments.
Race leader is indeed coming to the line. Out on the boot he comes. Ian Simon, 4 wins coming in this season and 3 in the last 4 races. And the other finish was a second. It's been domination in the middle of the season for the Mardi Gras regions. Ian Simon, and it continues tonight as the 87 car comes across the line and flashes the lights to win the challenge class in round 6 of Series 5 of PCA Sim Racing, presented by Haggerty. Watkins Glen's first winner of the evening is Ian Simon.
What a performance for Ian Simon to take home the checker flag here at Watkins Glen as the rest of the field works their way through. A couple of close battles coming to the line. Jose Rivas, Brian Giannelli trying to battle it out for the 8th position. Giannelli, though, will be able to come home 8th as the rest of the field pretty much is separated by quite a bit of ways across the field.
We'll watch these last few battles come in as Giannelli finishes off his race. Jason Sherwood next to come across the line. Kim Frick in there. Not too much really to fight for, save for maybe Scott Ferris and Aaron Ambrosino back in 16th and 17th. Abraham Jones is the last car on the lead lap in 25th. He's just now entering the boot, so he'll be the last one to cross the start-finish line in tonight's race.
Very clean racing for the most part. We had a couple of drivers up towards the front of the field have trouble, but for across the field, a lot of clean racing, a lot of great racing all across for this challenge class. So a great effort for everyone here tonight, and looking forward to seeing what they can do in the land of the rising sun in Japan next week.
Yeah, you don't need to remind me about the fact that we're going to Suzuka because I'm already so excited. So excited, in fact, that
He just can't hide it.
No, not that I can't hide it, but I spoke mistakenly. I completely, for anyone who was watching ERL on Wednesday night, I apologize because I said we were heading to Suzuka instead of Watkins Glen. That is how excited I am for our first visit to an Asian course, and my personal favorite in all the world. Suzuka Circuit going to be our home next week. But we'll worry about next week. Next week is Ferris now bringing it home and waiting for Abe Jones to come across the line. He will wrap up his race in 25th, and as he concludes, we'll go through the full field rundown and tell you where your favorite driver finished. Ian Simon, your race winner over Justin Moreno at Eisenring, rounding out the podium. Ken Tubman with another solid top 5 finish. J.R. Gregory in the top 5. John Crook finishes 6th this evening. 7th went to the 20 of Trip Starkey. Brian Giannelli came home 8th. 9th across the line was Jose Rivas. 10th at the final spot in the top 10 to the 99 of Jason Sherwood.
Kim Frick will come home in 11th after starting 21st, followed by Robert Benson in 12th. 13th to go to Scott Rogers, followed by David Trinder in 14th. A hard charge for him. He started 33rd. 15th will go to Chris Pippin, followed by Scott Ferris in the 16th position. 17th goes to Aaron Ambrosino, followed by Adam Fox, 18th. 19th will go to Robert Rose, followed by Ken Nielsen, rounding out your top 20.
21st in this race was Jim Hemmick. John Bradley finished in 22nd. 23rd went to Olin Murphy, and Chris Siborowski after the penalties was 24th. The last car on the lead lap was Abraham Jones. He finishes 25th. 26th to Andrew McHugh. David Purdy finished 27th. 28th to Anchor Bergsong. Scott McSherry and Andrew Hillman completed the top 30. Mark Ranoff, Dan Fishkin, Matt Dialosa, your final 3 finishers tonight at Watkins Glen, as we turn and bring in Ian Simon for a 4th time this season. And this, I think, probably was the easiest of them all. You were unchallenged the entire way in this race. Is Watkins Glen one of your best road courses in the sim outright?
I don't think so. I think just some lucky circumstances in this one. John was keeping me honest there for a while, and I think he spun, and then Ken took a turn, same deal, and just when I had a gap, I was able to kind of, cruise a little bit, just make sure I didn't make any mistakes. So I think just luck more than anything in this one.
You say luck. We also point to the fact that you outqualify your nearest competitor by nearly a full second. That's almost Ayrton Senna levels of field domination in this race. So clearly something clicks here, but Suzuka next week, very different racetrack from this one, especially the amount of turns that you have to navigate. And the first track in Asia that PCA has ever run. Something different for sure. Does that change anything next week, change your expectations, or you going to find some time to try and practice that and make sure you're good to go next Friday night?
I'm pretty familiar with Suzuka, huge F1 fan, so through games, my entire life, sim, whatever, we raced it in our own series already once, so it's a track that I at least am familiar with. So hopefully, like this one, it kind of just clicks again. We'll see.
Before we let you go, Ian, as always, we'll take a moment to let you send your thank yous, your shout outs, and let the people know who makes it happen for you.
I just want to thank all the PCA guys that put this on, doing our Q Cup league. I know what it takes to do a very small league. So, 4 series every week is probably quite a challenge for them. So we appreciate it, guys, and thanks for putting it on.
Well, Ian, as always, thanks for the time. Congratulations on the behalf of the Porsche Club of America and Podium Esports on your victory tonight, and we shall see you in Japan next Friday night.
All right, thanks, guys.
There's Ian Simon, your winner tonight in the Challenge Clash, presented by Haggerty. Haggerty, let's drive together. For those of you watching on YouTube, it is that time to minimize your full screen. Head down to the bottom left, click the blue PCA Sim Racing button, and switch on over to the Sport Class video, which is where you're going to see our next race of the evening. For those of you watching on Facebook or on Twitch, stay right where you are. You don't need to go anywhere. We look forward to seeing you in just a few moments. One more time for Watkins Glen International, second race of the evening, the Club Clash, or rather the Sport Class. Let's get that right. Presented by Leland West. Coming up next is Podium Esports coverage of Round 6 of Series 5 of PCA Sim Racing continues from Watkins Glen International.